percentage for homeschool college transport was, I think, discussed as a government option transport college.
Okay, thank you. That's it on declarations. I'm moving to the minutes of the last meeting. Is it agreed that I sign those minutes?
Agreed.
Thank you. Now, colleagues, what I intend to do, items 3, 4, 5 and 6 are in the leaders' portfolio, so I'm intending to move straight to item 7, which is the council shared service proposal, which is under my own portfolio. So, by way of introduction for this report. This report sets out for Cabinet a proposal for sharing back office functions. This is one of the exciting transformation projects in terms of delivering budget savings, collaboration with our neighbours, reducing duplication and realising economies of scale for the authority. And you've all read the report, but I'd like to draw attention to a number of themes within it. The services that we're looking to collaborate and join under Cheshire West and Chester on are finance, IT, HR and legal services. We're already sharing and managing some work around procurement. So this is a step up from that. This will be about sharing best practice, about driving forward excellent services and delivering value for money for the people of Wirral. Cheshire West and Chester, a merged council since 2009, have realised about 40% savings on their corporate service function since they've merged those services. And the potential savings for the two authorities of us joining forces with them on these functions is £6.8 million in total. So that's about 3.4 million for us as an authority, and that's in the first year. We're seeking Cabinet's approval to progress the scoping work now. There's quite a bit of work needs to be done in terms of working out how the arrangements would work, what the governance would be like. And as a starter of that, the leader will be signing the Concord Act with the leader of Cheshire West and Chester Council. Basically, that's a working together agreement, a proposal to work together. There will be governance arrangements worked up, but the proposal that you will have seen from the Cabinet report is that there's 3 members from our authority, 3 from Cheshire West and Chester, with a board of directors to support and progress the work. So the scoping exercise will go on between now and October when a further report will be brought to Cabinet. And also, we are able to apply for the Transformation Challenge bid. The government set up a fund of £9 million for authorities to bid into. This is a fund for authorities who are prepared to re-engineer and drive forward innovative changes in the way they deliver services. And our officers have now put together a bid, and we will be bidding for a share of that pot to enable us to take forward that agenda. So I'm going to pause there and ask if there's any comments or questions from Cabinet. provide us with the opportunity going forward for sharing our IT services on a much wider scale, sharing a digital platform across both of the authorities and sharing all of those functions around finance and other areas of work. So there really is some, an exciting future ahead, and a lot of work to be done now on ensuring that we get this right for the people of Wirral. So we're happy to approve those recommendations. Thank you. Okay, it's me again, I'm afraid. Right. It's me on agenda item 8, which is the corporate cloud performance management report. Okay, colleagues, this sets out for Cabinet the corporate cloud performance management framework and priorities in the corporate plan in a coherent set of outcome measures and targets. These targets will be based on smart objectives, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time-limited objectives. And what's been worked on to date with the 3 strategic directors is how those targets will be set into the work plan going forward for the corporate plan. But the key for me on this report, I will say a bit more about it, but the key for me on this report is that for the first time, I think in all the time that I've been a councillor, is that there will be an understandable and consistent framework for measuring delivery of our priorities. And I think this is really across the piece
implementation issues are needed to enable the project to proceed. The next steps of the project are also outlined. In the background in the report, in paragraphs 2.1 to 2.8, it states it's set up by the Department for Culture, Media and Sport, the body Broadband Delivery UK has allocated £530 million to fund broadband infrastructure works across the UK. The government's policy is to ensure that where possible, people and businesses across the UK have widespread access to superfast broadband services. The project, or this project should I say, focuses on addressing those particular areas across Merseyside where the private sector has failed to provide superfast broadband services to date because it is not currently commercially viable to do so. Based on the existing level of superfast broadband, BD UK has allocated to Merseyside a sum of £5.4 million. The government's allocation comes with the requirement that public match funding must be found and approved. Approval was granted on the 26th of March this year for £5.5 million of ERDF monies, giving the project a total of £10.9 million. A private sector contribution, typically around 20%, will also be forthcoming, the details of which will be known once the procurement process has concluded. There are many benefits to the city region in having access to superfast broadband. In summary, it will improve the attractiveness of Wirral to inward investment, help improve business productivity and services, generate additional GVA for the city region of around £50 million, and help bridge the digital divide and provide a platform for more efficient delivery of public services. I think that's vital in this day and age, particularly with the reforms that are coming through, which are just online. So things of this nature are going to help in that respect. In terms of the reports and recommendations, in line with BT UK projects across the country, the project on Merseyside is being delivered by a steering group of officers from partnering authorities with input from the Department of Culture, Media and Sport. For the project to proceed, there are now certain governance and legal issues that need to be addressed. These are the appointment of a legal authority, contracting authority as the accountable body to act on behalf of all partner authorities, the delegation of decision making to the Strategic Director of Regeneration and Environment to allow the project board to appoint an infrastructure supplier and to allow the signing of a project consortium agreement. That's in paragraph 2.5. Liverpool City Council has agreed to undertake the role of the accountable body, subject to the agreements of the other authorities and the agreements that the cost for doing so will be funded largely through ERDF. This arrangement, Chair, will need to be set out in appropriate legal agreements between all the authorities, which also sets out the joint liability to all parties arising from any litigation as a result of the procurement process for the implementation of the project. BD UK funding is available only to fund capital costs and is expected to be matched in its entirety by other public funding. The approach adopted has been to cover the vast majority of all other costs through EPRF, so as to reduce the need for local authority support. However, it has not been possible to include all costs. As the report sets out in paragraph 3.5, a total of £50,542 was required to cover project management costs split on a pro rata basis, and Wirral share was £17,690. This amount was agreed by Liverpool City Region Cabinet on the 25th of January this year. Just to go on, the delivery timetable is extremely challenging. All avenues are being explored to fast track the procurement and implementation of the street works. At the time of writing, the timetable is, with me, supplier tender evaluation, including the value for money assessment, currently 2013, project delivery end of August 2013 to end of 2015. The relevant risks, just to finish, Chair, resource implications and legal issues are set out in the report in paragraphs 5191 and 10.1. Members are asked to, in paragraphs 14.1 to 14.4, are asked to agree the recommendations, which are confirm that Liverpool City Council undertakes the role of lead contracting authority for council body for the Merseyside Connected BT UK project. Agree that the management of the BT UK project procurement process includes supplier appointments, entering into a partnership consortium agreement and future implementation is delegated to the Strategic Director of Regeneration and Environment in consultation with the Cabinet member, that's myself. Finally, with reference to the cost table in the report, as you can see, to agree to underwrite the project management costs that are not eligible for ERDF funding from Will Naples Fund reserves. Will's maximum share of ineligible costs using the pro rata method has been estimated, as I said, to be £70,690. I finally to receive further progress reports on this subject as the project progresses. We can agree with the report, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Any comments, views, colleagues? No, essentially, the rules for
It is.
what we need to plough on, bringing ourselves way into the digital age in every way. Yes?
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. We agree with recommendations of 14 in the report. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to agenda item 11, renewal of computer equipment. Adrian?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'll be delighted to move this recommendation. It does follow on fairly logically from the informal gesture of the past. We are trying to bring renewal forward into the advanced technological age. I'm rather surprised to have my attention drawn to an article in the press today in which the Leader of the Opposition has suggested that we should remain in a pretty medieval state as far as the tools that our staff are using go, when we're trying to make it much better for just about every other industry and organisation that's coming into Wirral. Well, the recommendation is very straightforward. We have thousands of pieces of equipment which should have and could have been renewed or refreshed, to use modern IT speak, these updated in the year 2010. During that time, of course, the different administration was in power. The kit was not updated at that time. Equipment which should have been renewed after 4 or 5 years, because that's the period of the reasonable life expectancy of this sort of technological equipment. Has in fact now become 3 or 4 years too old to be fit for purpose. Our equipment is obsolete, and we're asking our staff, or we would be asking our staff if we didn't renew it, to work with equipment which is simply not up to the job. In addition to that, the main system that we're using, of course, with Windows XP, is going to be dropped by Microsoft in less than a year from now. So this stuff, which should have been updated in 2010, has continued to decline and deteriorate. Frankly, we're not going to ask our staff to work in those conditions. We do not intend to become a second-class council where we are not able to keep up with the other councils around us and the industries that we're supposed to serve. We intend to provide a first-class service, and without having the tools to do the job, we can't match up to the responsibility to the people of Wirral. And I was shocked to hear the Leader of the Opposition suggest that we should do such a thing. That would be rather like suggesting to modern agriculture that they should go back to oxen growing flowers. So I'm the recommendation.
Thank you. Yes, Harry.
Chair, thank you, Chair. As you said, Adrian, there's been some noises off suggesting that this is investment should not be made, that it's a profligate waste of resources. Is it?
Well, profligate waste of resources, yeah. Well, I mean, I know that conserve means to avoid change, to keep things as they are. scorched earth or suggesting competence. It seems to me it's probably one of the two. Which one is it? No, I do understand this, but as far as I'm concerned, we have no intention of asking our staff to start dipping goose quills into bladders of sepia to avoid their reports. No intention whatsoever.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? I think I would just want to point out that the peer challenge as one of their recommendations on the reporting back to us in October made it clear that we needed to get our ICT systems fit for purpose and in a state where they are able to assist us to take forward our agenda.
That's quite right indeed. Is unprecedented, but the Conservatives want us to be unprecedentedly proud. Sorry, we're not having it.
Harry?
You mentioned the peer people. It's just a pity that the Tories or the opposition didn't attend these meetings because they could have picked up exactly what you just said, Alan.
And I mean, I think, well, everybody who knows me has heard me say from this chair a number of times that you could get Wi-Fi on the top of the bus at one time, but you couldn't get it in Wallasey Town Hall. Well, under this administration, it's here,
Yes.
and it's going forward now with the IT. So, colleagues, can we read the recommendation at 2? The Cabinet plans to refresh the obsolete IT access devices and associated equipment as set out in the report. Thank you. And vehicles on leader. Welcome back.
The Cabinet is on the hill.
Would you like to take a share? I'm not calling it the hot seat. I'm not calling it the hot seat.
Some lovely larkers in here.
Okay, right, well, apologies for being late. Just got back from Brussels lobbying for Wirral as he's like, for the European funding, so I'll go into a bit more detail another time as to what the response has been, but so apologies for being late, and thank you for standing in for me. Right, so we go on to item 12, which is the neighbourhood housing engagement item. So the first one is private sector housing regeneration assistance policy 2013-14. George?
I'd say as well that the council provides a range of assistance to the lowest income homeowners in the private sector housing regeneration assistance policy. Guidance recommends that this policy should be regularly reviewed and any significant changes should be subject to public consultation. In addition, since the introduction of the current policy in October 2011, a number of minor changes have been approved and implemented under the delegated authority. These minor changes have to be reported to the Cabinet before the review of the existing policy. In light of the financial constraints facing Wirral Council, this review has taken the opportunity to rationalise the assistance available to residents and owners to reflect the limited resources available and the ending of some regeneration schemes originally started as part of the former housing market in Wirral. The draft revised policy was subject to public consultation via the Council's website, local press and bespoke leaflets distributed via the Council's one-stop shops. Council staff were also invited to comment on the proposed changes. The consultation period ended on the 19th of June and no responses were received from the public. The suggested changes to the current policy include the repairs and service, 4 HMO fire safety loans, and 5 home installation program, cozy homes installation. In addition, suggested amendments to retained assistance include the introduction of administration fees in connection with the empty property grants and cozy homes leasing grants, and also operational refinements to empty property grants. Since the current assistance policy was introduced, a range of minor changes have been made to the empty property grant, home repair assistance loan, and cozy homes leasing grant, and these are listed in the cabinet report. I should point out that all assistance provided through the revised policy is subject to sufficient resources being available. Proposed changes will streamline the assistance policy, provide an additional income stream to the council, and make operational improvements, whilst at the same time retaining the focus of assistance to those deemed to be more needed. I move the chair.
Okay, thanks, George. We're asking Cabinet to agree to policy and to note minor changes made to the assistance policy since the last one was looked at. Agree? Okay, thanks very much. Okay, that takes us on to item 13, Homelessness Strategy 2013-18. George?
Again, I've just been here before, but just to reiterate, the homelessness strategy is a statutory requirement of the Homelessness Act of 2002, which places the duty on local authorities to adopt a strategic approach to homeless issues. To do this, a comprehensive review of all the forms of homelessness for the local area is required, which informs the publication of a homelessness strategy at least every 5 years. The findings of Wirral's homelessness review, completed in 2012, have provided a clear direction for preventing and addressing homelessness in the borough, and have formed the basis for the development of this new 5-year homelessness strategy and strategic homelessness action plan supporting. I would draw Cabinet's attention to the fact that an initial draft homelessness strategy in 2013 was approved in the delegated authority to enable some further consultation work to be undertaken with both key stakeholders and the general public. No adverse comments were received regarding the strategy, with the majority of responses being very positive and supportive. Overall, respondents acknowledge the focus of the strategy and its priority as important in addressing and preventing homelessness in Europe. Officers have taken on board specific comments which have been raised, and these are identified in paragraph 3.6 of the report. The strategy will be monitored by Wirral's Homeless Forum and reviewed annually to make sure it remains responsive to any emerging needs and future policy changes. I move that recommendation.
Okay, thanks, George. Can we agree with that?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Thanks, George. Which takes us on to the health and wellbeing item, item 14, parks and countryside plans and equipment. So, Chris?
Thank you, Chair. The Parks and Countryside Modernisation Programme is progressing well, and this report seeks to approval the purchase the necessary plans and equipment to ensure that we can run the Parks and Countryside service safely and productively to the highest standards, and at a minimum cost both in the short and the long term. This will help the Parks and Countryside service meet its existing budget and the necessary health and safety of all the staff. The tender for the 165 units of plant and equipment has been evaluated and will be awarded on a 70% price and a 30% technical corporate standard. As outlined in Appendix A, the tender outcome is 1.267 million, with local firms being successful and giving a saving of 231k to the council, which will result in a saving of revenue of 23,000 from 2014 to 2015. This money has been allocated in the capital programme. This purchase is required to replace equipment which is not fit for purpose, unreliable and excessively costly to maintain and keep serviceable.
This includes new equipment required to reduce risk to operatives and potential claims against the authority arising from hand-arm vibration syndrome. So Cabinet is requested this evening to approve the tender award for the purchase of plant and equipment in the total sum of £1,266,978 and not £5 million as quoted in the local press, as outlined in Appendix A. Note that the statement of 231,000 will be removed from the capital programme, resulting in a revenue saving of 23k for 2014 to 15. So I would like Cabinet approval for this equipment so we can get on with the project that we're on. And can I just say that I think our staff have done a marvellous job since we get the contract in-house. I think they've more than proved themselves worthy. And I think you will find much, much more improvement once we get this equipment in place. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. And it's good to hear that the in-house team is performing well, and the decision we made
Was the right
to
decision.
give it the service. So, okay, so can we agree with those recommendations?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Chris. Okay, on to the adult social care item 15, charging for services. Chris, please.
Thank you. The purpose of this report is to recommend a revised and consolidated fare charging and fare contributions policy. The changes do not affect the contributions paid by clients, so no external consultation is needed. The purpose of the changes is to maximise collection and recovery and remove uncertainties that contradict recovery. The 2013-16 budget changes are also built in, though these have already been agreed by Cabinet. Using 100% of disposable income as a calculator, which is policy to many other councils, and charging for the basic assistive technology service. There are two separate policies referred to in this report, one for non-residential and another for residential. And the changes are that under the law, anybody with more than £23,250 worth of capital must pay for their own provision. They are described in the report as self-funders. In the past, Wirral has paid providers for some of this care and sought to recover the full cost from the self-funders. This approach has led to a high volume irrecoverable arrears. In future, self-funders will still receive their statutory care assessment and be helped in organising their provision, but they will be required to pay for all their care directly to the providers. This will both reduce debt and the work that the PFU do at the moment. There's a big emphasis on upfront assessments. Self-calculator on the internet will give clients and their families an idea of how much services will cost. Clients who appeal a charge will need to pay the existing charge until the appeal is resolved. There will be an appeal to DAS senior management in appropriate cases if hardship could be caused. In the past, appeals accounts were put on hold and then never recovered, leading to big losses. The full cost is payable if the client doesn't cooperate with financial assessment, and any reduced assessment will only apply from the date of renewed cooperation. Big emphasis will be on use of direct debit from September, which is something we haven't previously had. Collection by providers is the favoured option for residential and some non-residential services. This will cut debt and improve the collection rates. There will be a clearer policy on delivered disposable assets to reduce the contributions paid. And there will be clarification that home care visits can only be cancelled and not charged if clients give at least 24 hours notice, unless avoidable in something like a hospital admission. Under deferred payment agreements, contributions are not collected if the client accepts a charge on property. Under the law, we can charge interest on any balance not settled 8 weeks after the client's death. We will now apply 4% interest rates. Similarly, we can unilaterally charge property for any arrears of residential charge. Under the law, we can charge interest on any balance not settled at the client's death. We will now apply a 4% interest rate there as well. There's a DAS write-off report on this agenda, which obviously comes under your portfolio, Phil, that we haven't heard yet. But that was following the investigation by Eugene Sullivan, and our department have recovered over £500,000 out of that amount, which I think is a really, really good result. So what I'm asking the Cabinet to agree is to approve fair charging and contributions policy, and the Department of Health charging for residential accommodation guide, local discretion, immediate implementation. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. And I mean, I say I'm particularly pleased to see that we've addressed this issue that I think Eugene Sullivan raised about the financial assessment not being done as promptly as it might have been, and you know, as in a number of those cases he highlighted, people getting a care package before the financial assessment had actually been done. So I'm glad that to see in, you know, out of 36 we can get, you know, the early financial assessment, which I think was one of the big issues that Eugene raised. So I think that all makes sense. So can we agree those recommendations?
Agreed.
Great, thank you. Right, on to children and family services. Obviously, you know, Tony Smith, unfortunately, is not with us, but I think Julia, we're going to go on to now item 16, which is the report on consultation on the proposal of relocation of Foxville School. You're just going to introduce us, please, Julia. Is that okay?
This is a very good news story in that Wirral Council was successful in its bid for the priority school building programme to rebuild Foxfield Special School. And the cost is estimated to be in the region of 7.5 million, which will be funded by central government. We've looked at a number of sites and decided that the site adjacent to Woodchurch High School offers the best opportunities, certainly for youngsters with special needs mixed with the youngsters attending Woodchurch. Because of the proposed site being more than 2 miles from the current site, statutory consultation was required with stakeholders. The consultation ran from May to June and has resulted in 42 written responses. We've also held a couple of sessions at Foxfield School, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive, with students and parents being really keen to relocate to a more modern site. There were some concerns raised in the consultation, such as community interaction and the proximity to Megaside, what potential construction disruption, and to special schools having links with Woodchurch. And it's fair to say we considered them very carefully and responded to each of the issues raised, and particularly the concerns expressed by Megaside. It needs to be clear that the Foxfield rebuild is not intended to have any impact on Megaside. The children, Megaside K4 and Foxfield, there are enough youngsters needing 2 schools. So concerns, as I said, have been followed up. There are copies of the responses available on CD in facilities. We've had some further advice from our planning officers since the report was submitted. And then we should be aware that the proposed site is located within the green belt, and the proposed development is a departure from the council's unitary development plan, so that very special circumstances must be demonstrated to justify the proposal under the terms of local and national planning policies. Now, we did meet those special circumstances in respect of the new Woodchurch High School, so we believe we will meet those special circumstances with the scheme order. And a decision to approve the proposal would need to refer to the Secretary of State before planning permission can be granted. And sport equally would also need to be a statutory consultation on a matter related to the loss and replacement of the playing fields at this site. Additionally, we are requesting that the calling period is waived for this report in order for us to publish the statutory notices. The reason for this is due to the extremely tight national timescales being imposed on the department. We really are dancing to the EFA's tune with this, and therefore I put forward the recommendation to Cabinet. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Julia. I mean, I think this is a good news story. The 7.5 million brand new school in Foxfield. I can only see lots of advantages of being located in close proximity to the church. I think that's really good news, and I'm sort of reassured about what you said, Julia, in terms of access for pupils from Meadowside to the church High as well. I think that's good. So I think I think it's something we should get on with, and I think you're suggesting, and I'll put to cabinet, we agree recommendations, and in order to deal with issues about statutory notices, etc., that we really call them as an additional recommendation. So can I ask cabinet if we can agree those recommendations? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, which takes us on to agenda item 17. Okay, George, you're okay, so this is clearly an item that's coming back to us. It was a part of our budget resolution, but we needed to do some appropriate consultation. So would you, it's quite a detailed and complicated report, but I think you could just highlight some of the key issues.
Okay, thank you, Chair. As you say, this is a report that has generated quite a lot of interest. I'm going to spend a few minutes just going through the report and highlighting the key issues, because it is quite a significant change that we're making. It's a change in common with a lot of local authorities. In March 2013, the decision was taken to review the provision of transport for children and adults provided by the Council. And this report is in respect of transport to schools and colleges for children and young people only, and the transport savings for adults will be dealt with separately. Wirral Council has a statutory responsibility to provide transport to assist compulsory school-aged children within certain criteria. The Council currently provides discretionary transport above its statutory duty. The application of new transport policies for students aged 5 to 16 and post-16 will reduce the level of discretionary transport available, whilst maintaining a focus on providing transport for some of the most vulnerable students in order for them to access education. It's really important to note that these proposed changes will be implemented from September 2014, and that children receiving transport prior to this date will continue to do so until they leave or change school, at which point the new policies will be applied. For some young people, this will occur when they transfer from primary to secondary school, and the proposed changes will therefore be phased over a 6-year period. 2013-14 home to school transport budget is 5.1 million. The saving target to be delivered is 2 million over the period 2014 to 2020. The proposed actions in this report will deliver 1.44 million, which will contribute towards the target, and the rest of the savings will be delivered through a range of demand management initiatives, including increasing travel training and possibly personal budget. Paragraph 2.1 of the report sets out the statutory duties to provide by law travel assistance for those who are eligible. There are currently 554 students who receive statutory travel based on the family's income or the distance they have to travel from home to school. The proposed changes relate to 3 particular areas. I'm going to start with denominational transport. Currently, Wirral provides free transport through travel passes for both primary and secondary school children related to the religious character of the school. The cost of the transport arrangements with children who have to travel more than the qualifying distance to the nearest school as the parents' religion are currently met. The proposal is to remove the discretionary elements of denominational transport, and this removes the extra discretionary provision for students attending Catholic schools and puts students attending all schools on a level playing field. It's important to note that pupils currently receiving free transport will continue to do so whilst they attend their current school. Also, the Council will continue to provide transport in relation to its statutory duties includes transport for visitors from low-income families who are aged between 11 and 16 and whose school is between 2 and 15 miles away. These children will still receive travel assistance if it's their near the school and further on the grounds of original need. There are currently 776 children receiving denominational transport, and stopping providing it for future children will give a full budget saving of £180,000 when it's fully implemented over 6 years. That's the first of the three. The second change is the assessment of support for free transport for children with special educational needs and or a disability. Again, from the outset, I must restate that children with special educational needs currently receiving free transport will continue to do so until they leave North Orange School, at which point in September 2014 the new policies will apply. It's proposed that in future, rather than all pupils assessed as having special educational needs being eligible for free transport, that transport will be provided based on children's assessed needs for support in travelling. Through this, it's likely that the number of pupils requiring supported transport will decrease. It's anticipated that bus classes will be appropriate for a larger group of pupils, and more pupils will be supported to travel more independently through travel training. There was actually new legislation coming in September 2014, which is the Children and Families Bill, which means that children will have more rounded assessments, resulting in an education, health and care plan. And assessment of travel needs will need to be part of that plan and will involve parents, school, young people, health professionals and any other significant people contributing to informing that plan. There are some authorities who have already been developing quite innovative approaches, working with parents, with children, schools in terms of identifying youngsters who can perhaps travel a little more independently. And there's evidence from Calderdale and Coventry that young people are saying they gain confidence, they're able to travel more independently, their parents start their youngsters through a very bespoke and targeted approach in working with children and families differently, which is something we want to do. There are currently 1,036 children under 16 with special educational needs who receive free transport. The budget for this group is £4,010,000 per year. It's estimated that the changes described will reduce the costs by £1,30,000 when fully implemented over a period of 6 years. And the final of the three areas is a change to the provision of post-16 transport for pupils with special educational needs and or disability and students from low-income families. Again, we start by reiterating all students currently in receipt of transport will continue to receive this until they leave post-16 education. The proposed new policies will only apply to new entrants from September 2014. The original proposal was to stop all post-16 transport, which is all discretionary, but we really listened hard to the consultation. And for young people with special educational needs, over the age of 16, we've developed a second option, which is to assess young people for transport based on their individual needs, similar to the youngsters pre-16. There are currently 170 pupils with special educational needs over 16 receiving this support, and the current budget for providing transport is £690,000. And it's proposed the estimated savings will be £130,000. They're all estimated because it's the next cohort of pupils coming through, which is actually a reduction in saving of £560,000. For young people over 16 from low-income families, it's proposed the council will no longer provide free travel passes. There are currently 354 young people who receive these passes, and this will save £100,000 when fully implemented. Some students effectively will be eligible to apply for an award for bursary funding at their school or college. I want to briefly comment on consultation and recommendations. The report sets out how the focused consultation with children and families, the diocese, schools and colleges directly affected by the proposal has resulted in a large amount of respondents, over 600, and over 80% of whom have expressed a disagreement with the proposed changes in each of the three categories. It must therefore recommended to Cabinet that Cabinet agree to adopt the new 5 to 16 home to school transport policy and the post 16 school and college transport policy, which is actually option 2 in this report, so that they apply to pupils and students commencing from September 2014 onwards in primary, secondary schools and colleges. The Cabinet agrees that pupils and students assessed under the existing policies are to retain their provision until they begin school or change school. And finally, that Cabinet note the change in budget savings arising from the revised post-16 special educational needs and disability policy, and that the remaining savings will be delivered through a range of demand management initiatives, including travel trade. Thank you.
Thanks, Julia. Just a couple of points I wanted to add to this, because clearly there has been a lot of interest and obviously one understands why. I just want to make it clear so everybody is in no doubt. But the reason why, sadly, we're having to look at this issue is that the government have cut our budget by 109 million over 3 years, plus another hit in our comprehensive spending review 2 weeks ago. So, in an ideal world, it would be great to go on providing free travel along the lines that we have done. But because of the government's decision to, really reduce our budget, I think, to a completely unacceptable level, it's forcing us to make very difficult decisions like this. So I think we need to be clear why we are looking at this. So that's the first one. I think the second point, and you did say it a number of times, Julia, but I'll say it again because I know there's been some confusion over the last few days. But these changes that have been proposed only apply to new pupils coming into the system. So everybody who currently receives free transport or subsidised transport, there will be no change to those arrangements. I think you did say that. And I think just to reiterate, or just to add, I checked to make sure that the parents of pupils affected or who might be affected by these changes had been officially kind of written to by the council, and we have done that, and we have included a paragraph in that letter emphasising or pointing out these are changes to pupils coming into the system, new pupils coming into the system, not to existing arrangements. And I think it was important to make that clear. I think one of the positive things about this policy is that we've got, this administration has got a very clear priority for protecting vulnerable people as far as we can, and I believe these changes will do that. On the other issue that I've certainly had a lot of letters and emails about, the denominational support for pupils attending Roman Catholic schools. Again, I understand the concerns that parents have raised. The points I would just highlight is that a number of the schools that we're talking about hold substantial balances. As we know, we've seen global balances for schools as some 11.9 billion, but a number of these schools have balances. And also pupil premium has increased, I think, from £900 to £1,200 per pupil. So my plea to the schools concerned is please look to your own budgets to help parents of the youngsters affected. And I hope that they will do that. And certainly that's one of the points that I'll be making to the Director of Education for the diocese. That's that issue. I think on the SEN issue, Julia, I was quite interested in some of the case studies you included in the report from other authorities, which show that with some help and support, there are a number of youngsters who, especially youngsters who, with a bit of help, can be more independent in terms of travelling to school,
and a very brief point, because here this report highlights that we're making a reduction in the anticipated savings that went through on 55. So there may be some young people and their families who will continue to get the free travel, who choose to travel in a different way, and we have a different conversation with them. But that will be a choice, their choice and voluntary. I have experience of a number of youngsters, particularly those who've been in care and who have had special educational needs, who, when they're 19, 20, reflect back to us that they felt very different being transported in a taxi to school, and with hindsight they wish someone had given them a choice. So there may be some young people, there may be some parents who are saying, if I had a personal budget and was supported to pick up another child and take my own to school, I'd actually like to do that. So whilst we're saying everybody will continue to receive the transport arrangements, we will engage in a conversation with people to see if there's other ways of doing it that they would like to choose to take.
And I think just the other point I'd just like to add to that, you know, we're not, this is not a blanket removal of free transport for children, young people with special needs. There will be an individual assessment of every pupil and the families and the people connected with that university will be part of that conversation because everybody's situation is different. So I think it is a much more sort of tailored approach, if you like, to this. But potentially, I think if there could be some positive outcomes from this. But yeah, and the other point I wanted to mention, the post-16 non-special needs. Of course, sadly, a lot of our post-16 youngsters, I think, have been adversely affected by the government's removal of ENA, which was a lifeline to many post-16 pupils, and we are, you know, still having to pick up the pieces from that. But I think, as you mentioned in 2.7, there will be some colleges and schools who have bursaries, which the students affected by that change will be able to apply for. But I think one of the kind of roots of this problem is that removal of ENA, which I personally believe was a really retrograde step. Anyway, okay, so I think the proposals, as I say, in an ideal world, we want to do this, but unfortunately, the budget cuts by government are, I think, just forcing us to make very difficult decisions, of which this is one. But I think that the report sets out, I think, a sensible approach to making sure that we still protect the most vulnerable and those in need of help, but whilst also enabling us to realise a saving. And I think you've sort of highlighted, which probably wasn't clear in the printed recommendation sheet, that we're looking at option 2 in that section on the post-16 transport for special needs students. Okay, so can I ask Cabinet if we're likely to agree those recommendations? Agreed. Okay, thanks very much. Thanks, Julie.